Skeletor, the most evil creature in all of mankind. Okay, I'm overstating it, obviously, but it is Skeletor. He looks cool, and it's really funny because you know if you ever watched the evolution of Masters of the Universe, one of the things you notice real quickly is Skeletor went from freaking crazy scary to kind of goofy, and that's kind of weird. uh, in the original books, I mean, his image was scary. I mean, he looked demonic, red eyes, and they glowed, and his skull looked inhuman, even though it was human shaped, and oh man, it was out there. And then you get to the cartoon. Obviously, they kind of took a step back and said, no, we need to tone this down. And what I liked about the cartoon was they made Skeletor still sinister without taking away that creepy factor, but while still making him a buffoon. It worked. It works for me. It works real well. It's obviously a kid show, so that makes a difference. And being a kid show, it's going to be more kid friendly. There's going to be more funny moments. I mean, I can remember several times in the cartoon, Skeletor had an expression. His skeleton should not have an expression. But anyhow, I was never a huge fan of trying to give Skeletor a background. I was kind of one of those guys who was like, you know what? Skeletor is just freaking evil, okay? Yeah, maybe it was some magical accident that made him a skull face, but you know what? Past that, I don't think we need to know. I mean, I think he's more enjoyable not knowing. Give him a little history with Hordak, yeah, sure. But I think just being as he is would let it should just stay there. I think that makes it more entertaining and more enjoyable. That's just me. Sometimes I think pulling the veil off of stuff is not smart. I think it's better if you just keep things kind of in a mystery place. Less is more. Just a guy with a skeleton face is worth it. And I gotta say, this is one of my favorites yet, because it does have that sinisterness in the face while retaining, that kind of toned down feel. And, you got the furrowed brow, which was a kind of a staple of his. But I mean, he doesn't look scary. And again, smart design. And it works for this toy, and it worked for the cartoon. I appreciate the fact they gave him his Havoc staff that looked like the one in the cartoon. Granted, it's got the purple handle. Don't know why that is, but because I remember it being gray most of the time. But it's got the little globe that's behind the horns of the ram, so that made it, kind of look a little different too. Whereas in the toy, didn't have that. So I appreciate that little detail. And they even included his power sword that I think he only used one episode. And what I remember of it is he clashed with He-Man. They were outside of Grayskull, and they clashed, and He-Man literally knocked the sword out of his hand, and that is the last time you saw it. Okay then. Also has swappable heads for the masks. And I remember that episode. It is not one of my favorite episodes. And I'm not gonna pop the head off to switch the mask out. Not, it's a good play feature, but at the same time, it's not something I'm gonna really use anyway. Because Skeletor to me is Skeletor. And again, we all know the reuse, blah blah blah, and it's smart reuse, blah blah blah. Again, I'm trying not to sound like a broken record at this point. So, it's really hard not to. Because, it's the same thing over and over again. This lacks the detail of the Origins figures, but that's on purpose because of the animation, etc., etc., etc. I mean, how many times can you say the same thing in different ways? It's really difficult. That doesn't mean I don't like it, though. I do like it. I like that it's going for that aesthetic. Again, reuse, but we know why. Uh, you know, again, Mattel apparently is the king of that and knows wisely how to make them look different with overlays and different colors. And it's really tough to find something new to say about this because at this point, this is the last one of the first series of cartoon figures that I need to talk about, and I've said this just about the same things through all of them, and it's really, really difficult to say something new. I mean, but it's by design. I mean, this works for Masters of the Universe. This, you know, but this is the same thing done in other toy lines. Again, I'm going to that well again, is that, Hasbro could learn a thing or two from this. Marvel Legends could learn a thing or two from this. But again, Mattel does this with its wrestling line too. Is there's a lot of reuse there, but they use it mostly very wisely. There's a few bumps, but for the most part, they're pretty smart about it. Because let's just face it. I mean, how many times can you do a muscly guy? I mean, same thing with Masters of the Universe. How many times can you do a muscly guy? Well, several, and you can get good results. But at the same time, you got to think about what are you doing and why. With the cartoon aesthetic, yeah, there's a thing there that you want to get that cartoon aesthetic. A lot of the models in the cartoon did look alike. I mean, again, how many different ways can you draw a muscly guy? And the overlays is where it mattered. And, I'm just going to say it. I mean, I think this is one of the smartest ideas that Mattel has come up with, because you're basically doing tooling on one figure and getting a whole lot of reuse. And that's smart. I mean, there's not a whole lot of difference between this He-Man and Man-at-Arms. In fact, I noticed that the boots for Skeletor and Man-at-Arms are almost exactly the same. They are exactly the same, I should say. And again, that's the way it looks in the cartoon, so then that works. Because he didn't have the clawed feet in the cartoon like he did on the figure. I mean, what else can I say? I mean, it's Skeletor. He's cool. He's a cool villain. And that's it. I mean, he's just a cool villain and works well. And it's a cool figure. I think if I'd gotten into Origins earlier and been pretty far into this line, I wouldn't like this as much. The fact I didn't get into Origins right away, I think made this a little more tolerable. Now, I'm like, this is kind of fresh and new, and the the articulation, while similar to the Origins lines, is a little different, and that works for me. That works real well for me because I think that fits with Masters of the Universe. And again, I've looked at these and just like, wow, these are so cool. But again, I don't know how far I'm going to go into this version of the line. We'll see. I'm sure there's going to be something I pass on, but right now, this is really cool. These first 6 figures are really, really cool. I really like them. That's all I can really say. All right. Thanks so much for watching another video, and don't forget, click all the buttons and try to not sound like a YouTuber, okay? All right, have a good day.